Hi there. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent training. In this video, we're going to look at the words better versus bitter and letter versus litter. We'll help you to pronounce these smoothly and easily understand the vowel sounds, how to do those American T's in the middle of these words to be able to use them easily in your everyday speech. So oftentimes in pairs of words like this, where the only difference is a vowel sound, it can be very challenging to hear the difference between these vowels, between these words. That's typically because you may not have one or even both of these vowels in your native language. And so your brain hears them as the same or a very similar sound, especially when there's no other clues for what the word is. So when I say better and bitter, if I don't have a sentence around it, no context, your ear may just really not have a great clue for that. So when it comes to vowel sounds, it's really helpful to, number one, know what the sounds are, know what you should be aiming for, know how that feels in the mouth, and then also have some anchor words to compare. Because when I'm trying to do better and bitter or letter and litter, they're so similar for the other sounds that it's really challenging. So the anchor words I like to use are for the eh vowel, which we often spell with letter E, like in letter and better. I call that the red tent vowel. In the dictionary, you'll see it written like this in IPA, or there are some other symbols depending on what dictionary you're using. And it's a central front vowel. You're kind of open midway, versus the I vowel. I made an error there. It's not the E vowel, but rather the I vowel, which we typically spell with letter I in stressed syllables and also in unstressed syllables. I like to call that the pink pig vowel. That's because the red tent vowel, the eh, is in these words red and tent, and the I is in the words pink and pig. Especially pig is helpful. Pink can be a little confusing because of the nasality of that N sound. So focusing on words like big, pig, did, to be able to match can be very helpful. Because if I'm trying to hear the difference between, for example, red and pig, it may be easier for me to hear those vowel differences because the rest of the word isn't the same. And so I'm going to match red, better. I'm going to have that anchor point to say, okay, that vowel is an eh vowel. So better and letter have the same vowel. What you should feel is your mouth is open midway. And again, you can try saying read better, a better letter. I read the letter. This kind of red sounds the same as this red. So read the letter, that helps you match the vowel and get it correct. Versus for bitter and litter, which have the pink pig vowel, you could say this is bitter. All those vowels are the same. This litter, pig litter. That's going to help you get that vowel. I'm sure, or I'm guessing that that's why these words were requested for our Word of the Day series. The request was for better versus bitter. So it's probably primarily those vowel sounds. But let's look at the rest of the elements of these words as well, just because for many people, words with TTER can be a little bit challenging to pronounce in the American accent. So in American English, when the T is in between two vowel sounds and it doesn't start a stressed syllable, we very frequently use what's called a flap or a flap T. And it sounds like a D. Primarily, I say that it sounds like a D because we would do the same thing if there were two Ds. So if this better is the same as if there were a word better. There is a word bitter, and it sounds pretty much the same as the word bitter. So a bitter loses the bid, for example. So when we have T's and D's in the middle of words, we use this flap T. In some languages, they use a flap for the R sound. And so if you're a Spanish speaker or some other native languages, you might feel like you understand that that R, like if you were to say a word with R in the middle, like very, rather than that American R, it might sound like very, very. It's like a rolled R, but we don't repeat it. So is a flap with many rolls. The is the flap with just the one roll, or the flap T. So I lift my tongue up into that T and D position. My voice is on like it is for a D, but I don't build up a lot of pressure. Not better with a strong D, but better, better with one little flap. Same thing with letter and litter. Lastly, we do have the American R in these words as well, after at the end. In British English and some other dialects of English, those would be more relaxed, more like an R-colored schwa, like better. But we always have that tight back sound. If the R gives you difficulty in these words, start with the then add your flap, der, better, better. These words are all stressed on the first syllable, so the vowel and the first syllable is long, and then our der is a little short, light touch at the end, which makes it challenging because you're trying to do that flap and that American R together, both of which might be new sounds for you, as well as having the difference between the vowel sounds. So better is a pretty important word. Letter also, we use those words quite a bit. Litter and bitter are less frequently used, less common. So you probably want to focus on these words. But if you've noticed you have a difficulty hearing the difference between the I and the because of your native language, focus in on learning all the words that have the I sound, this, is, did, different, and then separately focus on the sound, best, better, said, read, head, etc., so that you have those anchor points for those vowel sounds. You can use my vowels playlist to help you with this. I also have my Sounds of English course on speechmodification.com, walks you through every single sound of English, all of the vowels, helps you know how to spell them, what accent error patterns you might have on them, and gives you more tips like I did today for comparing and watching out for those difficult differences in English. Our accent really does affect our listening as well as our speaking, but never fear. With focused practice, you can really begin to hear these words differently as well. It's going to really help you when it comes time to be pronouncing them. The other thing I'll mention is that most of the time in context, even if you have a slight error on these vowels, if you're trying to use the word better and letter, people are not going to hear it as bitter and litter if the rest of the sentences make sense for the word you're using. So it is important to be able to hear it and use them correctly, but most of the time, the rest of what you're saying will help your listener understand you just fine. So thank you for this request. I think it was a really useful topic to talk about today. I'll be back again tomorrow with another Word of the Day class, as well as on Friday next week, we'll have our live question and answer class where you can attend and ask your questions about pronunciation, words, American accent, anything that will help you improve overall. If you have a request you'd like to see as part of the series, do feel free to leave that in the comments for this video or any of my videos. Channel members, you leave your requests at any time on any video, and I will cover them for you in our Sunday members only class. If you haven't yet checked out channel membership, you can click the join button and see what perks I offer. We have an extra live class for channel members, and they don't have to wait for their requests. We cover them within a week. Even if they can't make it to the live class, their questions get answered that same week. So it's a great little addition for those of you who are really working on learning and improving. I would highly recommend checking it out. You can also check out our free and low-cost online courses on speechmodification.com. Just go to the courses page and you can see those there. Thanks, everyone, and I really appreciate all of the requests, comments, and suggestions. Keep those coming. I look forward to seeing you in our next class. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com. Remember, if you want to sound like a native speaker, you can do it. speechmodification.com. Bye, everybody. Hope to see you again soon.